Rangers are on pace to go 101-61. They're tied for the third best record in baseball. They have the second best run differential in baseball. They have the second biggest divisional lead in baseball. It is astonishing what this team has done. Like, I think even the most bullish people on this team probably wouldn't have said, you'll have the third best record in baseball, be on pace for 101 wins, and have the second biggest lead in your division in baseball at this point.
Yeah, I love everything you're saying, and also feel like we should have a way better record.
Yes.
It's the weird thing about it, because everything's like, yes, everything's awesome, and then you're like, but out of those 15 losses, you feel like you gave away 4 or 5 wins.
Okay, all right, because I was like, man, your record's, I think it's tied for third best in baseball right now. You have the third most wins.
And I curved it down to 3 in my head just because you are going to lose some of those games.
100%. And you came back in some games, we probably forget that they blew leads.
That is a good point. I don't usually keep tally of the games, and I was like, we probably shouldn't have won that. Only the games that we probably shouldn't have lost. But if you wanted to argue that the Rangers should be 28-12 and be bounced up to the second best record in baseball, if not for the bullpen woes, like, I hear that. And so I was curious, is there a particular part of your team that has been your favorite thus far? Because there's been so much delight.
Do you
Corey,
have
I guess favorite part, because I'm also surprised, is how great the offense is overall. Is that I remember I was with Steve Buechele, the game that Corey Seager hits the ball down the left field line, and you're thinking, oh, that's going to be a triple, and he pulls up halfway between first and second, and I thought, oh no, all this good fortune, all this awesome baseball we're seeing after, I can't remember how many games, but you're just like, oh, now you're going to have to go without Seager at short. You're going to have to manufacture a number 2 spot in the lineup. You're going to have to force somebody into the lineup that maybe you don't want to play every day. And it has not only not slowed down, the offense has actually sped up. They've been better. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to get worse with Corey Seager. No. I think he's coming back tonight. I don't know this, but
I had heard that he'd be activated as well.
It's either tonight or tomorrow that Corey Seager is going to be back in your lineup. I'm excited that I'm hoping it's tonight with Cody Bradford making his big league debut as a starting pitcher. But I think the offense.
Somebody asked about, by the way, they missed when you were talking about it earlier. It's just to create an extra day, and the thought is that he will go back down regardless of the outcome.
Real quick before you answer, Corey, just to give you an idea about Cody Bradford, and I'm not trying to poo-poo on this, he has had an unbelievable year at 5-1 with a .91 ERA in his 7 starts. Last year he was in Frisco all year, and he was 10-7 with a 5.01 ERA. Ooh. So just to give you an idea of the jump that he has taken, if you're like, how come you guys weren't talking about Cody Bradford when you guys were in spring training? Cody Bradford wasn't on the map at that point of like, hey, I think in May he's going to be the guy we call up and he's going to really help the staff out in some way, right? I mean, now, all the credit in the world. He has been phenomenal this year in AAA, but it wasn't this buildup of like, well, did you see what he did in AA last year? He was awesome in AA too.
Travis Jankowski has 68 at-bats. So I'm going to make that the line, okay?
Okay.
But guys that have had 68 at-bats or more this year. Jankowski is batting .309. Nathaniel Lowe, 264. Grossman, 246. Duran, 304. Heim, 315. Simeon, 288. Young, 247. Garcia, 255. I got a note from somebody over the weekend that said you have 6 players batting at least 244 or better with 6 home runs. And the batting average is so much better right now. They're hitting the ball. Mike's dead on, man. Like, they are playing, and you said complimentary baseball the other day. They are playing to that point where if you need them to do this, they can. They can also do the other side. They're just hitting. I mean, they're just hitting the ball like they are aggressive, but also patient. It's a different thing than we've been watching over what I feel has been since Wash was here. It just feels like a different approach to hitting than we've seen in a long time.
Adolis Garcia is going to be an all-star again, or at least, let me try that again. He's on pace that he should be an all-star again. He's on pace, and this is probably unrealistic, for 107 RBIs, and he leads the league with 42 RBIs.
So like that,
You said 170.
70.
Yeah.
What they're doing at the plate is just so much
In
fun.
your face, Juan Gonzalez.
But I think my favorite part is that Eovaldi's stretch here in the last 3 games.
Yeah.
I know we
Awesome.
have some questions about Martin. We'll get to that in the future here.
Veteran guy, solid pitcher. He'll figure it out.
John Gray gave you a no-hitter until Jared just completely ruined it for everybody.
He didn't mention it at all until 6 2/3 in. He's like, let me give you the history of no-hitters.
Yeah. and I will admit,
Which is I'm being sarcastic.
I may have had something to do with that too. We'll talk about it in 1 o'clock today. But the fact that you have what I feel like is a bunch of Colby Lewises who are going to go out there and give you tough innings, be really good, and then you have the potential of when you get to the playoffs, you might have a DeGrom in the mix. You know, like I don't know I have no clue what his injury history is going to be for the rest of the season.
Right.
But if we get to the playoffs and he's healthy, God, Kevin, I feel so much better about that.
Yeah.
But again, my favorite part is this is a city, an area that has been deprived of pitching our entire lives. And I know no diss on Derek and that group. That group they played amazing baseball, but we never had all the like a full cast of we are good at pitching. Even whenever we were in the World Series, we were like, Cliff Lee was really great, but we were kind of like, what's CJ Wilson? What is Colby?
You're right. Think about how crazy this text is then because of what you just said. On the 806, I can't wait for Wednesday. Strider versus Eovaldi, and I'll be in attendance. How often?
Yeah.
Not just in the last couple years, but in recent memory, have you been like, I'm excited for this pitching matchup because of the Rangers too?
Yes.
Like, isn't it usually like, oh, Garrett Cole's going to be here, or Shohei, or who?
Can our hitters get the best of him?
But they want to see Spencer Strider against Eovaldi, which right now I get because he has been freaking destroying people.
Yeah, this has been such a fun year and at times a frustrating year with some of the losses late in games, but just such a fun year. I've really enjoyed watching the Rangers. I've enjoyed watching baseball in general around Major League Baseball. I just think that if this is going to continue, if the next 40 games, which is, it's very tough to go 25 and 15 every time. I mean, you would be, if you kept doing that, you'd probably be the best team in baseball. It's very tough to win 100 games. Maybe there'd be a team or two like Tampa that would outdo you. But like I said earlier, the bullpen's going to have to find solid answers.
Yeah.
Is that Bochy can't, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, can't be in a guess mode in the 7th and 8th inning. I guess I'll go with this guy. I guess tonight I'll go with him. It has to be like, no, we're winning 3-1. This is my guy in the 7th inning because of these 3 guys coming up and he will get the job done. These are the guys coming up in the 8th inning. This is my guy. I'm not going to just guess that he's my guy. And I hope it's somebody that's already on the team right now. But I do think that it'll probably be new guys that are in other organizations right now to be I know they're going to get it done.
From the 469, the Rangers could be up 8 to 9 games in the division if not for the foolishness of this bullpen. I would put it at 7, but I hear your point. But that actually leads into...
Rome wasn't built in a day, Kevin.
That is true.
And Rome's still there.
Do you know how many days it took?
Yeah, nobody does know.
Yeah, we have no idea.
How many days?
All right. Is the ability to overcome adversity. I thought about 3 specific points. Think about this. Who's your best pitcher? Jacob deGrom. Jacob deGrom gets hurt. Eovaldi becomes a scoreless inning machine, and Gray dabbles with a no-hitter. Who's your best hitter? Corey Seager. Corey Seager gets hurt, and the entire lineup steps up. What's the biggest problem on this team? Bullpen. You get disastrously swept by Cincinnati, and what did they do after that? They won 6 of 7. Like, you have seen this team get punched in the face numerous times. Like, that Cincinnati series felt like, oh no.
The reality's about to hit. Yeah.
Exactly. When Corey Seager got hurt, you're like, well, how's our offense going to look?
Yeah.
When Jacob deGrom got hurt, well, who's going to be our star pitcher now? And a couple of them are like, maybe me. The Rangers have not had smooth sailing through this season And they're still 25-15. I think that's incredible.
I do believe Chris Young will be on with G-Bag Nation today, by the way, during the front office show.
Do you think he'll take total credit and be like, "You're welcome"?
No. Well, and that was what I was about to ask you. I'm glad that you asked that in that way, because when you're bringing all this up, all these moments, and it is 420 today on the G-Bag Nation. When you bring up all these moments, those are moments where if you don't have good leadership, the team probably does fall apart. You know, they're like, what are we going to do without Corey Seager? Bruce Bochy he never blinked. But I also don't want to just give Bruce the credit, because I'm guarantee you Bruce will give. Marcus Simeon is in that locker room making sure these guys understand what their job is to do.
Yeah.
And I think
Eovaldi's been, from what I understand, a great leader.
Yes.
And we know that Martin Perez last year really stepped up in leadership roles. So I do think there's a lot of players, Corey, that you can look to now that the front office has brought in that have been able to help out and maybe make Josh Young's transition to the major leagues and everyday player a little bit better. Obviously, I don't know all the stories, but I know that, John Gray and Dane Dunning have talked about Nathan Eovaldi helping them out this year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. In the bullpens and stuff. But I had to read this one specifically for you, Mike. So would you say from the 682 that this team has hearts like a truck?
Yes. And I do think to the heart like a truck is that if you ever think about driving off the cliff,
oh my God,
is that Bochy and Mike Maddox have so much experience that they've been through bad stretches. They've been through bad bullpens. They've been through bad and good rotations. They've been through bad and good stretches on offense. They've been through bad and good stretches of defense. So they're going to have a better way of handling this. And it makes me think of this as there's a lot of firings in the NBA, right? Coaches are getting turned over left and right now in the NBA for the most part. Is sometimes having that new young guy can be, oh my gosh, who knew he was going to be that good in the next thing? And that can happen.
Makes you look good, right?
But
if
man,
you're the GM.
yes.
When you go with that guy that doesn't have the experience of leading a team, it can be very tough for that guy that first time to figure out how is he supposed to do this in a way when things start looking like they're transitioning into a negative way, to make sure that the team knows they're playing like crap, but we can play better, and we are going to play better.
To exactly what you're saying is, when you brought up what Cody Bradford, you were like, he's pitching now, but you kind of brought he might go right back to the minors.
Right.
I do wonder if there are managers, GMs out there that wouldn't even have that kind of plan, because they don't look at the schedule the same way like a Bruce Bochy does, because he's experienced it so many times.
Yeah, and then having Chris Young, to me, in a way, the perfect general manager, because he has 10 plus years of major league experience of playing, and he has a little bit of front office experience underneath John Daniels and the Texas Rangers. He has the MLB experience of being part of, why am I drawing a blank? The commissioner of baseball. Rob Manfred. Thank you so much. But he was there for a couple of years. Yeah. And so I just think he has it all. Like he understands numbers. He understands analytics. He understands old school baseball. He understands the new part of baseball. I just think that Chris Young really understands how to put together a winning team, even though he is the young new thing, right? So going with the young new thing isn't a bad deal, but you better be right on it. That's the tough.